Damn, I love coffee. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this brand new Pokemon video. Why another Pokemon video? Because apparently people want Pokemon content nowadays. Today, we will be talking about Legends Arceus. I know that game is a long while away, but there's already rumors, speculation about what's going to happen, what's going on with the game. And with that, I have my own personal thoughts on what we could expect to see. Again, the game is a long while away, but people really want to see this game as soon as possible. I know I'm incredibly excited for the game, which is why I am making this video. So, welcome to what could possibly happen in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, before we jump in, every single thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video is completely 100% theoretical. So these are just things that I'm throwing out into the wind, basically just guesses, what we could see, what's possible, maybe not likely. Who knows? We don't have a lot of information on the game. But without further ado, let's just go ahead, jump in, and let's talk about some of the stuff that we could potentially see in Pokemon Legends Arceus. First up, Pokemon Home integration. Now, Pokemon Home is basically the bank where all of your Pokemon go to between all of your games. It used to be like Pokemon Bank or something. Now it's Pokemon Home, and everything that you had in Pokemon Bank gets transferred to Pokemon Home. And you're able to transfer everything from like the Let's Go games, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sword and Shield, to Pokemon Home. Do I expect to see Pokemon Home integration in this game? I want to say it's highly likely. When it comes to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I want to say absolutely, but that's because those games are being developed by the people that made Pokemon Home. So it would be odd if there wasn't Pokemon Home integration. So when we go on to talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's kind of iffy. And the reason why it's kind of iffy is because we're going from Sinnoh region to Sinnoh region. There could be home integration. I could see that being possible, but it's also strange because we're going from literally a region that we're just in when the game comes out in like November to going back to the Sinnoh region in Legends Arceus when that comes out in like March, April, whatever. That is going to depend on a lot of factors. I would like to see home integration, especially if people don't want to play Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, but I guess we'll just have to see when the time comes for that. From there, let's move on to multiplayer. Will this game have multiplayer in some aspects? I want to say no, but that is very uncertain as of right now. There's a few reasons I'm going to say no, though. In order to talk about it, let's go back to Galar for a second. So in Sword and Shield, there was a feature where you could turn on, the online feature for Sword and Shield, and when you're walking around in the wild area or the other two DLC areas, you could see other players walking around. Not only was it kind of unnecessary, it was incredibly glitchy. Your frame rate would drop significantly if you went up to talk to another player. It would take seconds to load for that character to have some sort of dialogue. It slowed your game down so much, and I couldn't believe how poorly made the multiplayer feature for that was. It's kind of a completely useless feature until you're literally doing the raid dens. And raid dens are not something that I expect to see in Legends Arceus. On top of that, it would make sense for the story not to have multiplayer, because you are in the region for the very first time. You are the one investigating the area. You are the one filling out the Pokedex. Yes, there could be other players also doing the same thing. However, with Sword and Shield, the multiplayer makes more sense. You got trainers from all over the place looking to participate in the big tournament that is in Galar. So turning on that multiplayer feature does make a lot of sense. But when we're talking about a game that takes place hundreds of years ago, then I expect to see a lot less people. Plus, when you watch the trailer, there is nothing around other than the one town that you start out in, and that's something that we will also discuss later on. So in terms of multiplayer aspects of it, I want to say there isn't. I don't know. We'll see when the time comes. Again, we've got like a whole year to wait for this game to even be released. Next up on our adventure, let's talk about where to find the starters. This is purely speculation. I have no damn idea where these Pokemon could be at all. But I can give an educated guess based on the map. Okay, So here is the map of the Sinnoh region. The 3 starters are Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. And I have to make a guess as to where these Pokemon could potentially be on this map. The other thing we can look out here is snippets from the trailer. I don't know if this is going to tell us a whole lot. I see this weird kind of horn thing in the background, and I don't recall that necessarily from the original games. But Piplup, there's a good amount of them here, and it's by some beachy area, so I can make a guess as to where Piplup could be based on the map. Let's go ahead and start out with Turtwig, though. Seeing as some of these areas have not been developed yet, I'm thinking Turtwig is probably somewhere in this corner between 8 and 5 here on the map. So 8 is Floraroma Town, and 5 is Eterna City. So this makes a lot of sense for Turtwig to be in this area, possibly right here in, Eterna Forest? So I could expect Turtwig to be there. The reason why is because A, the Mossy Rock is in that area, and that is where you go to evolve Eevee into Leafeon. 2, you're talking about 2 towns based on grass stuff. Floraroma Town, it's a town of flowers. It's a town of flowers. It's reminiscent of the grass type in its entirety. And then you're talking about Eterna City, which eventually becomes the grass type gym, and the gym leader in the games has a Turtwig. It makes so much sense for Turtwig to be in this general corner. So that's just my best guess based on what the map shows me. I'm sure it could be anywhere else as well, but if I really had to take an educated guess, that is exactly where I think Turtwig would be, is in that general area. Okay, next let's talk about the fire starter, Chimchar. So I'm not getting a whole lot on this area. All I know is that it's near some sort of path. Now, the paths that exist in the original games are definitely not going to be the same paths that exist in this game. Why? Because this game takes place hundreds of years ago. It could be a generalized idea, but to be completely honest, I have no clue where this is. In terms of, like, the map, I couldn't even guess. Like, he's next to some rocky area, and I initially had the thought that it would be in that kind of deserty area where you see a lot of the fire types spawn in that, like, top right-hand corner. But thinking about where you possibly start out in the map, I don't think Chimchar would be that far away. It's possible, but it's also very unlikely. So in order to continue making my educated guess, let's talk about the Veilstone Gym. Why the Veilstone Gym and not, something fire type? Well, that's because the only fire type in this entire game is from the Elite Four. And in general, Sinnoh does not have a lot of fire types. You're basically narrowed down to Chimchar, Ponyta, Ninetales, and a few others, but it's not a lot. It's just a few. But Chimchar has a secondary type, fighting, and that's where I'm getting this from Veilstone. Now, Veilstone, where is that on the map here? So Veilstone is clear out over here, way past Mount Coronet, which is over in this area. So if I had to guess based on the rock structure, Chimchar could be in this general area where Route 210, 215 is, in between Veilstone and Celestic Town. It could be near Heartholm. It could be in this general area. Here, I doubt it'd be near Turtwig. It'd probably be generally over here, I would think. I have no idea. If we're talking about a pathway to get to somewhere, that makes sense. So that's just a general idea of where it could be on the map. I really don't have a lot to go on when it comes to Chimchar because, again, there's just not a lot of fire types. I know Ponyta does spawn in this area to the east of Mount Coronet, but that's all I got. I have no clue whatsoever as to where Chimchar could be. I have a much better idea of where Turtwig and Piplup could be, but Chimchar is so up in the air. I couldn't even tell you. The only other spot I thought of was clear up here, but I really, really doubt that we're going to go up into this mountain section early on in the game, or even at all. I'm not entirely sure. So now let's go back and talk about Piplup. This one's gonna probably be slightly easier. As you can see, there is an abundance, so it's not going to be difficult to catch the starters when we do find them. Piplup is on this beach area, and there seems to be some sort of a curve along the shoreline. And again, I'm not sure what this structure is, like way out here. I don't recall that from the original games. If someone does recall that, let me know. But yeah, this is completely unrecognizable to me. Now, the only thing I can guess in terms of the curvature, see, I was expecting it to probably be near here on Route 213, right beneath this L3, right beneath Lake Valor here, and in between Pastoria. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, yep, Pastoria is the water type gym, and that would make a whole lot of sense for Piplup to be in that area. Either that, or because of the curvature down here on Route 219, 220, again, this is going to be before there's even routes, this curvature here makes a lot of sense. So you could have Piplup down here, Turtwig up here, and Chimchar over here. I do have another idea, though, where Piplup could be, and it's because of its secondary typing. So again, just going off pure speculation and where this curvature is and Piplup's second typing when it evolves into Empoleon, Piplup itself could actually spawn probably more towards Canalav or even clear out over here on Iron Island because its secondary type is Steel. The gym that you fight here in Canalav is a Steel type gym. So it makes sense that Piplup could spawn here or here, but going out onto the water so soon, I'm not going to expect it very soon. So I'm going to say it's probably more in between down here and over here for Piplup. But again, this is all speculation. I have no idea where they could spawn. This is just a general idea of where they could possibly be based on Pokemon of the same type spawning in these areas, general typing things that I could guess, but that's all I got. That's really all I got for those. And moving on from the starters, let's go all the way to our legendaries. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. So we have Space Titan, we have Time Titan, and
Death.
We have Death. Could we see a distortion world kind of thing in this game? Unlikely, because I'm expecting that possibly in the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl games. I don't know, we'll see. Do I expect to catch Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina in this game? I don't think so. Again, it's just going on. We're coming from a game that you can already get those into another Sinnoh game. Truthfully, I don't think you should be able to catch them in this game. But again, it is possible. In terms of being able to catch Arceus in this game, again, I'm not entirely sure. We'll just have to see when the time comes. I don't really have a lot to go on here. Maybe there's going to be a conflict between the trio, and then Arceus has to come in and save the day, but you have to figure out a way to summon Arceus, that sort of thing. There's so much to it, and so much story that we don't currently know. So I'm, again, just here's my thoughts. Take it with the grain of salt, because I don't know. Next up, we have alternate forms. And this isn't just going to be for, like, the normal Pokemon here and there. It's actually going to be for the legendaries as well when we discuss this. So when we move on to talk about these new forms, let's keep in mind that there are a lot of people speculating that these things called ancestral forms will be in the Sinnoh region. Because there's a lot of Pokemon in the game that wouldn't make a lot of sense to be in, like, this ancient time. Like, Magnemite, there's no way Magnemite would exist in this world because, think about the details of Magnemite, it's supposed to be newer, based on electricity. I extremely highly doubt that Magnemite would show up in this game, but could it have a different form? We don't know. And that's the thing about these forms. We never really know until they tell us. Would I like to see ancient, ancestral, whatever forms? Yes. Honestly, regional formats are one of the best things they've ever introduced into these games. I was unsure of them when I first saw them with the Alola region, but then I grew to love them. I mean, Alolan Raichu is great. Alolan Marowak is fantastic. Then you've got Galarian Weezing, which is really cool because of the Poison Fairy type. I do really like the regional formats. Some of them are obviously better than others, but even then, there are some cool ones that come out of this. And thinking about when this game takes place, it would make sense to have older forms of Pokemon, which is another reason I believe that there could be Pokemon Home integration even after we've already had a Sinnoh-based game. And then moving on from the ancient forms, let's talk about possible origin forms for Dialga and Palkia. We've already seen Giratina with its Distortion World form, but what about Dialga and Palkia? We know Dialga has kind of like an origin form himself in his primal form, but what about Palkia? The only reason we know Dialga's exists is because it was in a different game, but we never actually got to see this form in any of the other games. And I actually don't expect to see this form in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I expect to possibly see it in Legends Arceus, though, when there's a different form for them, when they're possibly battling and there's a conflict going on. I do expect to see a different format of these characters. I'm going really way out on a limb here to say that this could possibly be true. I am not entirely sure, though. Would I like to see these things? Yes. Are we going to get them? Don't know. I want to say possibly, more than likely no. But again, we will know when the time comes for these. And moving on from talking about the possible conflict that there could be in the game and, the whole game revolving around Arceus, let's talk about Arceus a little bit. What if we see the origin of the Azir Flute? For those of you that are not aware of what the Azir Flute is, it was a distribution event that never came into fruition. What the event did was when you go to the top of Mount Coronet, where you initially fought Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, you would use this Azir Flute and a brand new staircase would pop up. You'd walk all the way up this staircase and Arceus would be sitting there on a platform. The only reason we know this event exists is because it's coded into the game itself and people were able to hack the Azir Flute into the game using cheat codes of some sort, or even completely reformatting their game and messing with the code a little bit. So if there's some sort of weird conflict going on and we need to find a way to summon Arceus in some way, why not have the origin of the Azir Flute? To me, story-wise, that would make a lot of sense considering what the game is about. And again, this is just pure speculation. I have no idea if this could be a thing, but again, just based on what we know, this could be the beginning of the Azir Flute. And with that short little tidbit out of the way, let's go on to DLC. Will we see DLC in this game? I hope so. I know that sounds weird. I've never wanted DLC for Pokemon, especially for Sword and Shield, because I didn't care for Sword and Shield. But I would want it for this game. I would love to see some sort of like a DLC revolving around Shaman and a DLC revolving around Darkrai. And since Arceus is the main focus of the main game, it would make sense to have those other mythicals being involved. Could we also see something with like Manaphy? It's very possible. I don't really know. We haven't seen a Manaphy distribution or a Manaphy really anything in a long, long time. I could see us getting a Manaphy episode. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. Possibly. Will there be DLC for the game? There's a huge speculation that there will be. And I'll explain why. So if we go back to the first still of the video here we have what the original Pokeballs look like, and here we have the books. Here, the first book opens up. And right beneath it, there are two other books, which could possibly represent the two other DLCs that could go along with this game later on. It's pure speculation, but it does make a lot of sense if these were to be DLC. I'm completely okay with that, considering Sinnoh is one of my favorite regions. I'd love to see more of it, and maybe these take you to the other islands, such as like over here in this area where Cresselia and Darkrai exist, or even over here into this area. Then we have, the Flower Paradise where Shaman exists. It could be any single one of these areas. And next on the agenda, let's talk about the main storyline and side missions or tasks The only reason I even thought about this in the first place is thinking about what the game is. It's an open world RPG. And when we're talking about an open world RPG, the first thing that comes to mind when we think about Nintendo is Breath of the Wild. Obviously, there are a lot of comparisons when we have talked about Legends Arceus to Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is an open world, massive RPG. So not only is there going to be a main storyline, I believe there could be other side tasks that we would need to deal with in the game. What could these side missions entail? Well, there's a few things that come to mind. One of them is like catching certain water type Pokemon to bring to someone and, discuss what they do in establishing routes where they spawn at. That could be part of the main storyline as well, though. Maybe you go out and you gather resources for some reason. Maybe they've implemented that into the game, and you're helping build other towns, which is another thing I'll talk about. Maybe one of your side missions is to find the Gressadia flower, which involves Shaman. That would be cool. Maybe that could be the establishment of Floroma Town. I don't know. Would I like to see side missions? Yes, I would love to see side missions. Pokemon has always kind of had side missions, sort of, but the thing is, the game is usually pretty linear, and then there's like other things that you can do to help people. There's the Darkrai mission that is event only. There's the Cresselia Darkrai mission that is in Diamond Pearl Platinum, where you have to go catch Cresselia, and then you get like a scale, and you go back to heal this little girl that's been having nightmares. And that's something cool that I would love to see, but to a much greater extent. And especially if we're going to have an actual RPG, I would love to see side missions. If Pokemon is going to keep going with their linear formula, though, I'm going to say this is maybe like a 20% likelihood. It's not like super guaranteed. It would make sense with its RPG elements, but obviously the main audience is going to be children, and we're probably not going to get anything like that. It is possible maybe you're writing down in a journal, and it's like, oh, hey, here's one task that you need to complete. Here's another task you need to complete. I don't know. We'll see when we get to that point, but I would love to see those kinds of things. It'd be a very, very nice change of pace to the series. There's a brief one I'll touch on. It's the origin of the orbs. So when we talked about the origins of the Azir Flute, we could also see the origins of the Adamant, Lustrous, and Gricius orbs, obviously affiliated with Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. Could we find those somewhere lingering in Mount Coronet? It's very possible. That's just another thing we'll see when the time comes, but that's just something I'm going to throw out there. It's possible that we will see the origin or discovery of these orbs. Next up, we'll talk about new towns. Could we see new towns being built? Could we help new settlements be established throughout the area? I think that's extremely possible. I think there might be other towns already in existence, but they're also very, very small. We could definitely, absolutely see the beginning of certain towns that pop up all over the Sinnoh region. But this is the beginning of the Sinnoh region. So we're either A, going to see the towns being built, or B, the towns are already pre-built, or I guess even C, we don't see that at all. I would love to see that feature. But this is Game Freak we're talking about. They do like to keep things simple. I'm not going to call them lazy per se, but in the past few generations, they haven't necessarily done the best job with these games, but this is going to be an entirely different experience than what we're used to, and I think this has been their main focus for an extremely long time. And while also talking about towns, let's talk about where we start out in. So here is one ink-made screenshot of the town that we start out in. I don't know where this could be, but there is a lot of buildings in this area, so already I'm thinking this is not Twin Leaf Town. There is no way in hell this is Twin Leaf Town. Unless Twin Leaf Town is just the most poorly designed bullshit I've ever seen in a Pokemon game, I'm gonna say this is more than likely not Twin Leaf Town. I mean, this could also be a town that we eventually get to, but I don't believe we're gonna start in Twin Leaf Town. I believe we are starting here wherever this is. I'm just going to make a educated guess. So here's the town again. It's not a city per se, but this is ancient times, and this could eventually have become a city. And I can't really make a guess as to where this is because this is an empty landscape that we're talking about. To tell you the truth, my first instinct is that this is either A, Jubilife City, which is near Twin Leaf Town. However, that is not near mountains, and you can kind of see that there's more mountainous areas in that back screenshot. It could be Veilstone. Again, there's some mountainous area right there. I could expect this to be Veilstone City. I do not expect it to be Pastoria. And then the main one that I'm thinking of is Hearthome. And that one makes a lot of sense. And the reason why is because it's called Hearthome. Or Hearthome. Or something like that. But this is near the mountains. And again, as you can see, we are near a mountainous area. In this corner, I don't believe that's Mount Coronet. It's not pointy enough to be Mount Coronet, but we're near the mountains at least. And if we're talking about the beginning of this entire experience, if this is anything at all, it has to be the beginning of a city. I wouldn't say it's the beginning of a town, because a lot of these towns that we see in the Diamond, Pearl, Platinum games, they're small. They have like 3 or 4 houses, maybe less. Twin Leaf has 3, I think, maybe 4. But the towns are so incredibly small. There is not a chance that those could be what this is. This has to be the beginning of a city. If it were to make any sense whatsoever. I mean, yes, these things could have been torn down years ago, but we're establishing the Sinnoh region. If this is our main camp, I am going to have to say this has to be a city. And my first instinct is absolutely it has to be Hearthome, Hearthome, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's this. More than likely. I don't see it being anything else. And there's one final thing I guess I'll talk about. This one was just kind of thrown into fruition within the last 5 minutes. When we discover Mount Coronet for the first time, let's go back to Diamond Pearl for a second. The pillars at the top of Mount Coronet were destroyed. This could be from so long ago that we could see the structure that was there. We could see the thing that was there long before Diamond, Pearl, Platinum came out, and we have destroyed ruins. We aren't going to see destroyed ruins. We're going to see this majestic palace, probably. I don't know. That would be freaking cool. I would love to see that. But again, this is just another guess, and it's something very brief I wanted to touch on that could be something that we may possibly see when Legends Arceus comes out. Now, to cover some other possible questions that I may receive from this, what starter am I going to choose? I'm going to choose Rowlet. There's a pretty obvious reason there. The 2 other ones that you start out with, they only come with 1 typing. Cyndaquil evolving into Typhlosion is just fire. Oshawott evolving into Samurott is just water. Rowlet, though, is a grass ghost type when it evolves. So I'm gonna go with Rowlet. I know I'm just a biased grass starter player, but Rowlet is obviously the best option here. At least to me, because it's the only one with a dual typing. Will I be pre-ordering this game? Absolutely. First chance I get, I'm gonna be pre-ordering this game. Will I make more videos covering Legends Arceus? Yes. Once we get more information, I absolutely 100% will be getting on top of that. We want as much info as possible, but we don't want to be spoiled completely. I just want to know what's going on. I want to know so much more. This is the game I've been waiting for so long. It's the first change of pace from the games since probably XD, Gale of Darkness, and that still fits into the normal formula. This is completely different. And as far as I've been told, this is a mainline game, whereas XD, Gale of Darkness, and Pokemon Coliseum were just sideline games. This could be one of the best Pokemon experiences we ever get, and I really cannot wait for this game to be released. But that is all I'm going to cover today for Pokemon Legends Arceus. If you have any questions in regarding what I've talked about today, I'll leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to possibly respond. If you want to see more Pokemon content for both Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and for Legends Arceus, subscribe to the channel so you can get caught up and know more when I figure out more stuff and when you guys figure out more stuff. Do you have any possible theories for the games coming up? Again, let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for this game? Do you think this game will be great? Do you think it'll be a letdown? And just let me know. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed watching. And yeah, that's all I've got to cover today. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Have a good one.